Hey everyone, Doug and Karl here at the TJetClub at the Hub for another weekly edition of TJetClub. We're going to talk about some AFX cars today, and then at the end we will highlight a little bit the cars that we're going to be auctioning off this next coming Monday. And I always forget what date it is. So next Monday will be the 20...
No, it's going to be the 19th.
19th, October 19th.
Yep.
6:30 Mountain Standard Time, PM. You do the math to figure out your time zone. But we just want to talk about some AFX cars. We'll show them off a little bit. Maybe Karl will give us a tuning tip that he uses. Our Hosers Club just kicked off our racing season here a few weeks ago, and we've been heavy into the AFX cars. So
we've had some outstanding races already.
Yeah.
We're only two in.
Yeah.
So.
and two completely different tracks, and it's still a lot of fun. So, and this coming week we're on a router track, so that ought to be a big router track.
Yeah, tomorrow is Peter's first race on his router track he bought last year, and he's had plenty of practice sessions, but this is the first time we've all gone over there and raced on his track, so it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So we'll give you some highlights and I don't know if we'll do some videos, but we'll talk about it and tell how many people got hurt and all that stuff, because it's a long track. What is it, 16, 18 feet long?
I think it's a 16er, yeah.
And one of them is all straightaway.
Yeah, big sweeping corner at the end. I'm sure everybody will misjudge.
So we started off, a couple of months ago talking about the different classes in our club, and spent a lot of time on the T-Jets, stock T-Jets, Eurojets, bombers, and all that stuff. Now we're going to skip, go into AFX, and then when we're done with that, we'll go back to a couple of the T-Jet classes that we missed intentionally. So just because it's the way we do it.
Last but not least.
Yeah. It's kind of like on auctions, you start with a T-Jet and you end with a T-Jet. Everything else is just fill. And that's what we're going to do with our classes. We started with TJetClub and T-Jets, and we're going to finish it out. Bookends, T-Jet bookends. So I'll let Karl talk about the AFX, maybe some highlights of memories when you're growing up, when you're a kid racing AFX.
We've done all the T-Jet classes except for one, and we'll talk about that on the end. But this is when we move into the AFX, the Magnet Traction, and then the 4-gear classes. But today we're going to talk about the AFX class. AFX class is real simple with us. You can run silicone sponge tires in the back. You can pretty much run any front end except for brass-weighted front ends we don't allow. This is a great class to use those cassette wheels that I know everybody's been just knocking cassettes in the head looking for cassette wheels.
You should have brought
I have. We're going to show off a few. And so, because these are really my generation of cars. This is the stuff I played with as a kid. And then I never really got into the G pluses because that came kind of right at, when I was turning into a teenager. But, this is probably my second favorite class. I really like this because of the cars that you can run in it. That's one of the reasons. And we talked about the very first car that we sold on TJetClub was an orange 55 Chevy, because that was the first car I bought with my own money. And so this is the first car that I built for the AFX class. And I had Doug Crawford he made me a little Kmart to go on the trunk there, and that was in regard to the first car I bought was at the Kmart down here, because that was the only game in town at the time. And this car, I love this car. I've spent a lot of time working on this car, but I haven't raced it a lot in the last few years. You'll build a car, and then all of a sudden it's not competitive, because the next cars you build are more competitive, and you keep going. And this car fell into that category. But this was also the first car I built my own silicone sponge tires on aluminum hop-up kit wheels. This is the wheels that came from the hop-up kit. I had a bunch of those when I was a kid. KB Toys clearanced them, and I bought them all. And of course, this is also Another one thing I did first is I started dyeing my chassis. I don't do it anymore, but I used to, and that's a dyed dark purple AFX chassis and gear. You got to throw the gear in there as well. And so there's just a bunch of things about that car that I really like, and it is a fun car. Here, we'll pop that off real quick. I wanted to show that at the time I really thought I was smart, and I got in there and I trimmed the window out, and yeah, I thought that was pretty slick. But this car was built a long time ago. If we're in our 18th year, then this car's been around for a long time. And then that's another quick shot of the dyed chassis. I really had fun building this over the years and racing it. But it has been kind of eclipsed. Now last weekend we sold a car, and I talked about the sides of the body could be used as body mounts. They have an awesome body mount, and that was that turbo turn on, and that other car, I forget the name of it, but there's the body mount glued right into the side of this 55 Chevy. So just to give you more ideas, that if you find bad ones of those, they give up a beautiful body mount that can be sanded and fitted into a lot of different chassis. We made some resins of them that came out pretty good. But once again, I love the AFX class because the variety of bodies, and it's the stuff that I raced as a kid. There's another one that I run. This car was actually started by Fred Getz, who passed away, and then when I bought his collection, I finished it, and I raced one whole season with this car alone after he had passed away. And this car is fantastic. I absolutely adore this car.
You don't want to back that one into the wall, it looks like.
It has happened, and because I make a point to glue these windshields all the way around, and that supports the roof and all that stuff. But this was an amazingly good car. Another car with my homemade silicone sponge tires. Oh, and then soldered chassis. I just spotted that. So AFX class, you can just get away with stuff in that class. And then, this will be a kick. I get a kick out of this. I always wanted to race one of these Datsuns because I have this strange affinity for these little Datsuns. And I don't know if anyone will catch it, but it's a short box now. I did take a fair clip out of the back of that to short box that. And then I used vinyl on the top to just give it a smooth finish. And it's a fun car. Another car with homemade silicone sponge on original AFX wheels. And then here is my current love right here. And then this is, of course, the really rare Camaro color. But this one had post issues like most of them did. And then I pulled this windshield over an original, and then I glued it all the way around to support the roof so that it doesn't break again. But it has some of my red lines, my homemade silicone sponge with the red lines in them to match.
Those the Satterbees?
These are Satterbees, yeah, to match the red line on that. And this car did fantastic the first week out, but it lost a lap and could not make it up. And I won't keep whining about it because everybody started hearing about it. And then here's another car. I bought one of these new when I was a kid, and so when I found this one, and I don't know if anyone will catch it, but the roll bar is on backwards. That post should be going to the center of the car instead of to the back.
You got a spaceman in there driving.
And yeah, I know. He looks like that. There used to be a movie out, Heavy Metal, and there was a cartoon of a guy driving a Corvette, and he looks just like that guy. And but this is another one. So it's homemade silicone sponge on AFX wheels, because I just love AFX wheels. And this car is a blast. I just get a kick out of this. I want to do the red and white version of this, and I have the body, but I don't have the top, if anyone's paying attention out there. I went to the Tri-State swap meet, and the wife comes back, and she had bought a little passel full of cars, and this guy was in it. And I was just enthused by this. Now, I had never raced one of these, and I was amazed at how good those bodies handle right there. But that's just an all-red petty with no numbers left on it anymore. I believe that it was actually a red and blue petty that someone stripped. But I race it now, and it's just a fantastic car. It does really good on Bob's track, and it's another... I like the solid rivet AFX chassis if you can find them, but that's kind of hard to do. This car was interesting. When I got this car, it was all yellow, of course, and someone had taken like 2 rocks and then chiseled the spears off of here like they were going to make this custom. So I sanded and filed and sanded and filed, and then I masked it off, and I did the model chrome on the side. I put an Auto World license plate in it, and I put headlights and all that. I mean, I just really worked on this car, and I really liked it. And I didn't lower it because, oddly enough, all the tabs are still in it, and that's just amazing for this poor car. But it's not competitive. I built silicone sponges for it again, but it's just too tall, not competitive. But every once in a while, I'll race it anyways. Take my beating and enjoy my little car. And then now we're gonna get into the stuff that I build that I get customs here. This thing handles pretty good, believe it or not, and pretty slammed. The angle chop, and then once again homemade silicone sponge on the hop-up kit wheel. It's a little much. If I was to do them again, I would slightly narrow it on the inside just to make the tire a little narrower. And then here's another one, obviously the 4-gear coupe, cut and chopped and filled and painted. And I don't get too many of these customs done, but I'm really happy with them when I do. And this one's just on all aluminum wheels, another solid rivet chassis. And then this is the one I just raced. Was it last one? No, this is the first weekend, right?
I think it was.
No, it was last weekend, yeah. And it's the best that it's done in a long time. I had to rebuild it. Now, this is the car, if you can see them. That is a set of cassette wheels right there. And all I do is I run 16th brass tubing through them, and that's about the size they are, and then run a pin in them. Now, this particular set, I already had these purple wheels, so I dyed the front wheels to match the rears. But that is a set of cassette wheels right there, or a pair, I should say. And they come in a lot of different variations. The one I like is it's like a 6-spoke. You can actually see through it. And that's just another really great car. This was second build. I think this was the second car I put together, and it was okay. And then I kind of got away from it, and I just recently come back, rebuilt it, found all the issues that I was having before, and now it's fantastic. And it's just got slip-on silicones on it. And then so we went through that. I think that's about all of them. I got a little charger here that I lowered, and I made my own 6-pack hood scoop right there because I didn't see it out there. And then, of course, I've got the turbine wheels on there. I'm a wheel guy. I pay attention to wheels and stuff. Homemade silicone sponge. And that's a fun car. And I don't paint them very often, but every once in a while I'll get one painted. And that's kind of the run of my AFX cars. A great class. Keep your rules simple. We only allow up to a dash blue and white magnet in that class. You can run whatever armature you want and shoes and stuff. People will struggle with the AFX class. It's really hard to set them up because the chassis is so close to the track, and there's a lot going on there. So it's really easy for the back of the shoe to be touching the track, for the shoe to be touching in the middle. I mean, all kinds of things like that, especially when you run low pro tires. And that's what you really need to pay attention to is the space under the track. I want guys that when they do your setup, put it on a piece of track, put the car on it, and then hold it in such a manner that you can see daylight come through there. And then all of a sudden you'll see things hanging down, and you need to clean that stuff up. And I've probably got some examples. This is a solid rivet car, and if you'll notice, I had this car apart and I sanded the bottom of the chassis flat. See, the rivets are all nice and flat and smooth. And so there's nothing hanging down that's going to get caught on track edges, or when the car gets out of shape, gets hung up on the rail. And because these cars are so close to the track, and that's one of the reasons they handle poorly, is they start pivoting on that kind of stuff hanging down. Let me see if I can find another one that I worked on. Yeah, not that one. Yeah, I don't see one right off here. Oh, here's another one. This one here, I just kind of went and smoothed it up. Another area to watch is sometimes it'll say Singapore right along that piece right there. Sand that off. It hangs way too low, and it can come over and get caught on the rail, and you don't want that. Guide pins is a big one on that. The bottom of the guide pin. The last couple races we've had, I ran blades, and the depth of the bottom of the blade support was super close to the track. And that's because I'm running shortened wheels and stuff, and that makes a big difference. You really got to pay attention to that. The pins are important. But like this is a good example. This thickness right here can become an issue on an AFX car. If it gets too thick, that'll start actually hitting the track. And the car's riding on that, and it's not riding on the wheels, and it's not riding on the shoes, and you really got to watch that. So I guess that's my tip for the AFX class, is really pay attention to the bottom of the car. Make sure the hanger of the shoe is not hanging down, because I've had them hit, and they'll just cut this groove right in there, and that makes for a really shitty handling car right there. So you're like, what is it doing? And that's because that little piece of metal is touching the rail back there, and then the car can do this odd little pivot off of it, and it'll act so strange.
Yeah, just right on that little hook on the back.
The little hook that comes down, yeah, because once again, that car's so smashed to the track, it's so low. And when you get into the magnet traction cars, they had simplified the chassis so much that it's not as much of an issue. There's just less down there to be. An AFX car, if you really pay attention to it, is quite the transition from T-Jet to magnet car, because it still has a lot of the T-Jet attributes, all the different pieces of metal underneath it, the way the brushes function, all that stuff is still T-Jet, but it is starting to move to a much more modern chassis. A lot of the things you do to tune a T-Jet will apply to an AFX, especially when it comes to shoes. Shoes is almost everything in AFX.
Yeah. All right, so that's our AFX class. Next week we will talk about the magnet traction.
Magnet traction, yeah.
Which just kind of takes that and evolves into the next generation, like you were saying.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And this is as close, magnet traction is as close as we get to an actual magnet car class. We used to run X2s. We used to use lifelike trucks. And they were all fun, but we kind of fell away from that.
Yeah. So now let's talk about this coming auction. What is it? October 19th, Monday. 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be doing the auction on the Facebook page, facebook.com/TJetClub. And just show up and there's going to be some cool stuff this week.
We're gonna, I mentioned it in the last one, and I said I bought this little case of cars years ago, and I never really did anything with it. It's here, and we're gonna do this. And I think this is unprecedented. I think we're kind of breaking, the rules. This is going to be a blast. We're literally going to tear this thing apart, go through everything, and we're going to sell everything in the box. Now, I did look in there, and I realized there was no T-Jets. And so I was like, well, this is TJetClub. And so what I want to do, I had so much fun with doing the multiple rings last week. And this is something I've been thinking about for weeks. So I went and picked 6 good-looking T-Jets. And what we're going to do is, as we're auctioning off the contents of this, which is going to be a lot of builder stuff, and there's really nothing mint in there. But as we're doing that, in the background, on the second and maybe even third ring, we're going to sell these T-Jets. And I brought some really nice ones because I know that there's guys out there looking for good ones. We got this little cutie here. It's funny. I couldn't get, if I had it my way, I wouldn't sell any of this stuff. But anyway, and then this guy, I think that, what a fun one. Okay.
And those are cars that, in just about every race we have of Eurojet, there's at least half the field is a 4GT.
Yeah, and the other half is Ferrari GTO. Yep. And this is and all of these T-Jets this week are going to be nice ones. These are going to be all collector quality ones. There really won't be any builders this week. Just a really nice Jaguar. And then I think one of Auror's better bodies, the Riviera, beautiful car. And what we'll do is we'll run them in the background, and then no week is complete without a hot rod coupe. Mm-hmm. It will end at some point. I will run out of hot rod coupes to sell.
But maybe not in this century.
Right. It's going to be a long time. Don't get freaked out. Yeah. And so, but that's what we're going to do. I think that'll be a fun way to do it. We can have fun, and we're going to lock that stuff up. We're going to go through it and pick through it as a group, as a club, and then in the background we'll run those T-Jets, and then everybody have a chance to bid on them. And then, like maybe every third or fourth auction here, we'll come back to one of them T-Jets and we'll just sell it. We won't have to waste time, with it because everybody's had plenty of time to bid on it. And I had so much fun with that last week that I think that a guy can refine that, and so that there's always something going on. And so anything that's in the second or possibly third ring will be stuff that really doesn't have issues, because I don't want to have to continually explain or show the vehicle. Now, the stuff in here is all over the board. And
do we want to show a quick preview?
I think just a really fast review.
Let's see what we can.
And there's plenty in there, okay. But we're going to be lotting it up. And there you go. Yeah, we're going to be lotting it up, and there's a bunch of stuff in the bottom. We're just gonna lot it up and run with it.
I see there's a truck with a trailer and all kinds of.
It's all over the place, but there's no TJets and the case. If someone wants the vintage, it's an old pal Woodstream, and it's a number 1050 PF 1050. Look it up. I don't know. Maybe it's not as old as it appears.
Maybe that box is worth more than everything.
There's going to be some fisherman guys get in here. Matter of fact, we got a guy that does the fisherman stuff. And but I look at that, and I don't know if it's just the color of that box, but I'm almost positive that I had one as a kid that was,
with your Zebco 202.
Oh my gosh. I went to a yard sale a few weeks ago, and I bought a Pocket Fisherman, and it's not the remake. It was the first version. I was in this drawer of stuff. I'm like, oh my God. And so I had one of those as a kid as well. So I'll probably hang that one on the wall somewhere.
You got to put that in your glove box in one of your cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to auction off some gems and some gem future stuff.
And there's going to be some great builders in there, but
there's boxes of parts and stuff, all kinds of.
It is the way it is. It's the way I found it. The only thing that came out of there is the very first 55 Chevy that we sold on TJetClub. Because the first 55 Chevy I bought come out of that box, and that was really about it. And I thought about it the other day, and I thought, there we go. Because I've been wanting to buy a lot, to sell, but we'll just start with this one.
Yeah, we're going to see how it goes, and
we'll see if everybody enjoys it or not. Because they might just hate it. They might just, I don't want any more G Plus, no more Tycos, please.
Yeah.
And
the TLM movement is strong on this one. They will be happy with us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they should be. And
so maybe they won't protest Tyco Lives Matter. So
right.
Yeah. So that's what we got coming up. Make sure that you show up Monday night on the Facebook page TJetClub, and also first rule of TJetClub is to talk about TJetClub. Tell your friends, those who race, collect, build, all that stuff.
Yeah, restore, modify.
Yeah, this is good stuff right here. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell your friends to do so as well. Once we get up to a certain number of subscribers, we're going to have a giveaway. We're going to give away something. It might be some resin bodies that I make. It might be something, some chassis.
I might reach into the vault and bring something up.
Yeah, and the only people who will be eligible to win that will be people who have subscribed to the YouTube channel. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're out of here. Thanks for stopping by and spending 25 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. But
nope.
But the information that you got will carry with you forever. So
that's right.
All right, we'll see you guys Monday night, the 19th?
19th, yeah.
19th of October, 2020. Yeah, just in case you run across this channel years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
It'll be epic. People are going to be going back and watching.
Because, after 2020, there might not be anything. And people
It'll
look
all
back,
be collected.
2020 was the end.
That's
and
right.
so, yeah.
All right. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you guys later.